John Elway has 3 Super Bowl championship rings and a gold Hall of Fame jacket, but he's missing something that would truly cement his place in football history. Erect that man a statue already. Oh, sure, the retired jersey number unveiled this past weekend was nice, but the most influential person in our state's history deserves to be bronzed. Really no logical excuse. The team knows how to do statues. They unveiled one of owner Pat Bowlen a couple of years ago, and it's magnificent. Arms folded, sunglasses. That dude's in charge, right? The Broncos seem more committed to embracing and honoring their history than any other team in pro sports, which is what makes this so baffling. The Ring of Fame along the 5th level facade is wonderful, and each inductee gets his own steel pillar and bronze bust outside. Mile-high monument, just recently erected in the parking lot, might be the single most beautiful thing I've ever laid my eyes on. With the possible exception of 7-Eleven Slurpee machine on Bring Your Own Cup Day. Where was I? Oh yeah, just outside Mini Mile High is a fabulous statue of the greatest Broncos fan ever. Barrel Man has a statue, the Duke does not. Maybe the Broncos are simply trying to pick the perfect location or just the right pose. This would work. So would this. And this, a helicopter statue, would be hella cool. Elway retired 18 years ago. Hasn't it been long enough? He'd never say so, but don't you think John wonders as he walks past Dan Marino's life-size figure in Miami, Bart Starr's in Green Bay? Baltimore, the city John refused to play for, has 2, Johnny Unitas and Ray Lewis. And get this, the Indianapolis Colts have already commissioned a Peyton Manning statue, and he retired 18 minutes ago. Elway is just as deserving of this honor as any former player in NFL history, except Arizona's Pat Tillman, who gave his life for his country. That's the most significant statue of them all. Maybe Elway himself is against it because he's running the team now, and it would feel kind of awkward hosting his own ceremony. That's okay, he'll get over it. Don't the Broncos want little kids walking up to the stadium 50, 100 years from now asking, "Daddy, can you tell me about that number 7 guy?" Truth is, Denver's a lousy statue town. It's just as inexcusable that Joe Sakic isn't hoisting the Stanley Cup outside the Pepsi Center. The Rockies have a gorgeous statue of baseball pioneer Branch Rickey, but that probably belongs in Brooklyn and replaced in lower downtown by Todd Helton. That National League clinching moment would work, huh? Former Nugget star Carmelo Anthony was on his way, but forfeited all statue privileges by demanding a trade. There's a big blue bear at the convention center and a big blue horse at the airport. No Elway. It's time to give the man who sculpted so many of our most cherished memories a sculpture of his own. You know I love my bobblehead dolls, and these 3 of Elway are really cool, but they're only 6 inches tall. Elway's figure should be 6'3", life-size, don't you think? Rocky slugger DJ LeMahieu should be celebrating the greatest accomplishment of his baseball career, but that batting championship is tarnished, and you can tell by the look on his face that DJ knows it. He had the highest batting average in the major leagues, a remarkable .348, and ought to be ashamed of it. DJ LeMahieu edged Daniel Murphy of the Washington Nationals by just 1/1000th of a percentage point by sitting out 4 of the last 5 games, including the season finale. I get what then-manager Walt Weiss was doing and respect him for his loyalty. Weiss understands how prestigious a batting title is and didn't want his all-star second baseman, who had an absolutely spectacular season, to have a few bad games and lose it at the end to somebody who missed the last couple of weeks due to injury. But LeMahieu should have overruled his skipper, should have told him he wanted to win the crown with wood in his hands, not under his bottom. You may not think that many years from now anybody will remember the circumstances surrounding the 2016 race for the batting championship. But it's been 3/4 of a century since Ted Williams hit over 400, and that story is still legendary. Williams entered the final day of the season with a 3.996 average, which would have officially rounded up to 400, but insisted on playing both games of a doubleheader, went 6 for 8, and finished at 406.
It would have been officially 400, but it never entered my mind. Never once.
Never did I even have any thought. I didn't even give it a thought. I never even thought about not playing.
The Rockies have now had 9 batting championships in franchise history. Larry Walker won it 3 times. Todd Helton, Matt Holliday, Carlos Gonzalez, Michael Kadire, Justin Morneau, and now DJ LeMahieu, the only one of the bunch who backed into it. What a terrible lesson for all the young Rocks fans who were rooting for DJ. If you're competing for something important, just shut it down once you get the lead. The people who paid for tickets to watch those meaningless final few games against the Milwaukee Brewers deserve to see the league's leading hitter. I'm assuming he would have been in the lineup had the Rockies been fighting for a playoff spot, but who knows? Would it have been worth the risk? LeMahieu has such a sweet swing and incredible knack for stroking the ball to the opposite field that he'll likely get a chance to win another batting title. And if so, I sure hope he does it on the field instead of on the bench. Would have preferred to see DJ lose the batting title the right way than win it the wrong way. But that's how it goes sometimes. A little boy is going to look up and say, "Grandpa DJ, tell me about the final day of the regular season in 2016. What was it, a double, a triple? How'd you win the batting title?" And he'll say, "I just sat in the dugout and chewed sunflower seeds all day." Former Broncos quarterback Tim Tebow got mixed reviews at his baseball workout today. Great power, above average speed, poor outfield play, which you must admit is pretty impressive, unless you're one of those fools who is so outraged that Timmy would dare to reinvent himself. Oh, calm down. Tim Tebow wants to play professional baseball. What's so terribly wrong with that? It's just a publicity stunt. Huh? Timmy invited a bunch of scouts to watch him take a few swings and decide for themselves. Now, if a team thinks he's terrible, but signs him anyway just to sell tickets, please Colorado Rockies, please Colorado Rockies, please, 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 well then that's a publicity stunt. But not his fault. This isn't Dennis Rodman marrying himself, or Balloon Boy flying across the Colorado sky. Tim's a former All-State baseball player who wants to try baseball again. Tebow's disrespecting the game. Really? In order to succeed at baseball, you need to be committed and focused and diligent, the same words commonly used to describe Tim Tebow. He isn't built like a baseball player. 6'3", 255 pounds. Former Rocky slugger Jason Giambi was the exact same height and weight. He needs to stick to football and change positions. Doesn't want to. He needs to spend a few years in the Canadian Football League. Doesn't want to. You see, Tim Tebow chases his dreams, not ours. Believes in himself, likes a good challenge. Maybe we ought to stop criticizing everything he does and embrace the fact Tebow continues to live his life his way. And if that's a publicity stunt, then Timmy deserves the pub. Too bad he let himself go, otherwise Tebow might have a real shot at this.
You think? How bad do you want that?
That'd be great. 28 of the 30 Major League teams showed up at this tryout in Los Angeles. Only the Oakland A's and Chicago Cubs didn't think it was worth their time. Rockies were there. If it's bothering you that the Broncos don't seem to be desperately and aggressively trying to find a star quarterback, relax. Anybody can do it. For the first time in pro football history, a team will be considered one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl, regardless of who their starting quarterback is. Usually, that's the #1 factor in determining which clubs even have a chance. The Broncos' defense is so dominant that the retirement of Peyton Manning and the sudden departure of Brock Osweiler won't even matter. As long as those incredible pass rushers, Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, and those spectacular shutdown cornerbacks, Chris Harris and Aqib Talib, stay healthy, Denver should easily win its 6th consecutive AFC West Division title and earn one of the top seeds in the playoffs. Oh, sure, it'd be nice to have Tom Brady, Cam Newton, Ben Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, or Andrew Luck in an orange jersey, but that's really not necessary. Didn't we just learn? The defense is so good, it doesn't matter who's at quarterback. Mark Sanchez? Sure, why not? In fact, I bet Trevor Siemian, who has only taken one career NFL regular season snap, would win. Or one of the quarterbacks with even less experience available in the draft. Michigan State's Connor Cook, Stanford's Kevin Hogan, Mississippi State's Dak Prescott. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Heck, the Broncos would be contenders if their head coach named himself the QB, and probably guarantee themselves back-to-back championships if their general manager made a comeback. I absolutely love the idea of Colin Kaepernick playing for the Broncos. His remarkable skill set would be a perfect fit for Kubiak's offensive scheme. Cap's exciting, fun, and just enough trouble to keep things interesting. But if the Bronx are unable to acquire Kaepernick through a trade or free agency, they'll be just fine, because anybody can do it. Except maybe Johnny Manziel. He'd probably screw it up. So who do you think is at fault for this big orange and blue mess? I spent all day trying to decide which Broncos icon is responsible and finally concluded both. There's enough blame here for each of them to share. 50-50. Let's start with Miller. The biggest mistake he's making is daring to challenge John Elway in the court of public opinion. 0% chance of winning that battle. To go on social media and declare war with the Duke is the biggest Broncos blunder since Elway himself lined up under guard instead of center his rookie season. Elway will win that battle every time. I mean, who else could trade the wildly popular Tim Tebow with the approval of most Broncos fans? Who else could force future Hall of Famer Peyton Manning to take a pay cut with the approval of most Broncos fans? Only Elway, and he knows it. John manages just like he played. You think he's scared of some linebacker? Miller's just another blade in the helicopter. I don't blame Von for being upset. That franchise tag must feel like a punishment, or for using his leverage. He'd be silly not to. That's how negotiation works. But to try to embarrass the most famous and well-liked figure in the history of this city, first by cropping him out of a picture, and now by taunting him, is stupid. However, Elway is culpable also, and here's why. At some point, John needs to recognize that all players are not created equal. He let Pro Bowl tight end Julius Thomas leave. He let star defensive lineman Malik Jackson go. He let quarterback of the future Brock Osweiler split. So what? Those are all good players who can easily be replaced. This is Von Miller, who single-handedly won the AFC Championship and Super Bowl, all by himself. The rest of the team could have overslept or stayed on the bus both nights, and there still would have been a parade through downtown Denver. Miller deserves to be paid. The largest contract of any defensive player in NFL history, with the biggest signing bonus, and Elway knows it. John brought Colorado its first 2 Super Bowl trophies, and now he needs to reward the man who brought us the 3rd. He's wrong for allowing this to drag out and creating animosity. This time, John's messing with the wrong dude. And while Miller recently proved he's a terrific dancer, he never should have started to tango in this town with Elway. They're both to blame. I love the fact the Nuggets were aggressively pursuing an NBA superstar. It's been far too long. But the problem is, this was the wrong one. Dwayne Wade is an outstanding player and surefire future Hall of Famer. He's made 12 All-Star teams and won 3 championships. However, he'd be useless in Denver. Other than the fact he'd give the Nuggets a recognizable name for the first time since Carmelo Anthony split 5 years ago, Wade serves no purpose here. He's an aging veteran simply looking to make one last big payday before retirement. And he never wanted to play in Denver. Think about it. Wade was demanding a 2-year contract worth $50 million. The Nuggets offered a 2-year contract worth $52 million, and he still didn't agree to it. What more do you need to know? And besides, the Nuggets already have 2 young and talented shooting guards, Gary Harris and rookie Jamal Murray, who play the same position. Wade was more likely to inhibit their growth than advance it. The NBA is a superstar league. You need at least 1, preferably 2 or 3, to even have a chance. The Nuggets have 0. But I'm happy Wade turned him down, because that money can be better used next year when Stephen Curry, Russell Westbrook, Blake Griffin, and Chris Paul become available. This was never going to be like Ray Bork winning a Stanley Cup with the Avalanche at the end of his career, or Peyton Manning helping the Broncos win the Super Bowl at the end of his. Dwayne Wade's rejection might be the best thing that happens to the Nuggets all year.